Hi everyone. So today's mixed media morsel is number 31, and we're going to be stamping on some tissue paper. This little technique has been around for a long time, and it's very handy because sometimes you want to stamp on, let's say, an art journal page, and maybe the page is wrinkly or it's lumpy underneath, from other pages, and you're afraid you may not get a good stamped image. And so if you use permanent ink, and I usually use the Stays-On inks, or I will use Ranger archival inks because they're permanent and waterproof and they won't smear. So what happens is you use the permanent ink and you stamp on tissue paper, and then you tear it out and apply it to your background of your art journal. And you really can't see the tissue paper. If you look really close, you could see it, but in general, it just looks as if whatever the image is or the words are, it looks like they've been stamped directly on the page. So I'm just going to show you that because it's a really good technique to have, excuse me, to have in your arsenal of things to do in your art journals. And I just think it would be a fun page to make. I'm kind of going with a fall theme today. I found this this very old jelly print. I know it's kind of bright, but I'm probably going to use like this section in the center here that's got mainly the greens and yellows and oranges right in the middle here. So I'm going to put that on my page, and I'm thinking about using this jelly print to maybe make some little borders for my page, because I thought it would be pretty complimentary there, and maybe just make some little handmade borders like we did previously in a morsel, but we used magazine pages. So I'm going to use painted paper to make a border. So, excuse me, so first I'm going to get my page out, and we're going to be working on the back of number 30 that we made the last time. And as it turns out, this page is a little bit wrinkly and bumpy there from the glue underneath and all. So this will be a good one to use this stamped tissue paper on, because I probably wouldn't get a real good image by stamping on that. This one's not too bad, but it is bumpy, so like I said, it's handy. It's a handy one to know. So I'm going to just put some, let's see, what do I want to use? Maybe a glue stick on the page, and then I'll put like Mod Podge on top. But I'm going to glue it to the surface with this. When you use a glue stick, it kind of helps to prevent a lot of the wrinkling you get with a wet glue. So that's why I like to use the glue stick, especially like for magazine images and things that are thin. This one isn't that thin, but I'm going to go ahead and use it to anyway, just because I don't want any more wrinkles than I already have on this page. All right, now before I do the Mod Podge, I'm going to go ahead and get my images stamped and ready to put on, and then we'll Mod Podge and glue down these tissue paper images all at the same time. Okay, I have a little stamp here that I carved out of an eraser of a leaf. I think I'm going to use this. And I've also got a stamp that says "Enjoy the Journey," and I'm going to put that on as well. I might have to paint, excuse me, my voice is cutting out on me today. I might have to paint out a little section in a solid color for this to show up well. I'm not sure. because of the text and all that's underneath there. So I will stamp it on the tissue paper and then lay it on there and see what I think. And then if I need to paint it out, I will. Okay, so let's use, I'm going to use brown stays on since I'm doing a fall type page. Oops, I'm going on tissue paper though, I'm not stamping on my page. So this is just plain white gift wrap tissue. There's nothing special about it. Okay. And the other thing too is if you make a mistake when you're stamping on tissue paper, it doesn't matter. You just move over and stamp it again on another section. So it's a kind of a good technique to use, like if you're afraid that, you know, you might make an error. Okay, so like this one is pretty good, but it didn't stamp all the way over here. It's okay. I'm going to stamp another one just to see if I like it any better. Okay, that one's a little fuller, so I don't know if you can tell what I'm talking about. Let's see. If I lay it on here, you can see. So you can see how this area didn't have as much ink on it. So, so this one actually is a more solid image. And in this case, I'll probably use that one just because I like the more solid image. But this one I will keep and use for another project, definitely. So, okay, so that's the leaf, and now I'm going to stamp the words also, so I can see how that's going to look. Now, if you don't happen to have any stamps or permanent ink, you can also draw or write on the tissue paper with a permanent marker, like a Sharpie or a Bic Market pen, anything that's permanent. I don't know about the Posca pen. I don't think I would do that on a tissue paper. It will be too wet. I think you want to use a marker as opposed to a paint pen. The paint pen's pretty wet and it will run, I'm thinking, on this soft tissue paper. So I'm just stamping a couple of these just to have them while I have the ink out. I usually stamp 2 or 3 of the same thing while I have the ink and the stamp out, just because I can put them in my container and use them later. Then I don't have to take out the stamps with the ink. Oh. Okay. So there's what we have. I'm going to dry those up. Okay, so I have these all dried out now, and they're ready to be taken off or torn off the tissue paper. Now, you don't want to cut these out, guys, because if you cut it out, you're going to have a straight edge that will be obvious when you glue it down onto your page. Okay, you want to tear it out, and the uneven edges somehow blend into your background a lot better than a straight edge does. But there's another technique you can use that is real handy also, that's also been around for a long time, and that is to use a wet paintbrush and basically draw around your, whatever it is you're tearing out. Just go right around the edge, okay, with the wet brush. I had a little bit too much water on it over here. Okay, but you just want to wet your brush and then dab it off a little bit. And then when you go to tear it out, it tears so easily, okay, just from the tissue being wet, okay. we go. So there's my leaf. You can also use one of these if you happen to have a water brush. That works great too. But if you're dipping a brush in water, I just dip it in the water and then, you know, kind of brush it against the side of the dish. And just want to stay as close to your lettering as you can, or your image. You don't want to go out too far and have too much paper sticking out. Okay. Can you see that, what I did? Okay. And then while it's wet, and it dries pretty quickly because it's tissue paper, but you want to do it carefully. You don't want it to tear into your image or your words. So just hold on to it and tear it carefully. Did almost tear it here, but it's okay. I mean, it's going to be glued down. You just want to be really careful with it. Okay. Just tearing off a little bit of the excess on the edges if I see any extra. This one right here is, because this word comes in to the center there, I'm going to take some of that out. A lot of times you can just brush it with the brush and these little pieces will tear away on their own just because they're getting wet. Okay. All right. I'm going to take off a little bit more of this one also. So I'm going to just put a leaf. I think I'll put it here where that green, well, I'm going to put a border there, so that'll be fine. I just wanted to have a leaf kind of laying here maybe and have the words there. So now what you have to remember is that all of this where you see the white tissue, that's going to melt away, kind of just, you're going to see all the color that's underneath there instead of the white. You won't be seeing the white, or not much of it anyway. So that's why I was thinking I might want to paint. The dark letters will be fine. I'm concerned that the word "the" might blend into what's underneath and it won't be able to be seen very well. So I think I might just put a little bit of paint under there, just because it won't hurt anything to have it there, you know. So I'm going to take a little bit of ivory paint and just going to use that same brush I was using. And let's see, we'll put it right about here. I'm just going to put it where the word "the" is going to go. So I think that's just going to show up a lot better by doing that. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to use some Mod Podge. And you want to be really careful because, like I said earlier, this tissue paper will tear if you're too rough with it, especially when it gets wet. So just be really careful when you go to Mod Podge it down. I'm just going to coat the whole page. Okay, and put a here and go ahead and put my words down. And then very gently go over the top. Of the tissue paper. Okay. My brush, sorry guys, my brush is a little bit stiff, so you might want to use a soft brush to go over the tissue paper with if you're concerned about it tearing, because it does want to kind of push it around a little bit. But it did fine, but a softer brush would probably not be as rough on the tissue paper as the stiffer brush is. So it's just a little FYI. Okay, so this part will be where my leaf is going to go. Let's see. Bring it down a bit. Okay. So now we have that much done. I'm going to dry this and be right back, and then I'll work on putting a little bit of a border in place. Okay, so I'm going to take my orange painted paper and just draw like some scallops, just to make a little, I'm going to draw scallops all the way across and then cut it apart and lay it here and there on the page. Okay, I decided to do a little bit of swirls in the background using this stamp. This is from a very old set that I have. And I'm going to use the ivory colored paint to kind of add a little bit more of that to the page and brighten it up a little bit. So I'm going to put some paint on the craft mat and spread it out. And dip the stamp into it. The border will cover up some of this, of course, but just wanted to get a little bit a little bit more in there if I could. Just to add more interest, you know. Okay, that's kind of cute. Oh, I like it. All right, I'm going to dry this and I'll be right back. Okay, so the paint's all dry, and I'm going to just go ahead and add my borders. And I'm going to put it all the way around. You can see it laying here. I'm going to put it all the way around. So that's how we're looking so far. And I think I'm going to add a little bit of maybe some black around the leaf. Just use a pasta pen and pick a white one. Trying to decide where I want to put. I want to do some dots on the border, so I'm thinking about where I want to do those. I think I'll just go around the bottom edge, or I mean the outer edge. Okay, and I'm gonna put a box around these two words, enjoy and journey. Yeah, I like that. It kind of helps define it a little bit more. And I've got a little Stampin' Up! Stamp here that's got some little tiny leaves on it. And I'm thinking I might put a couple of those here and there. All right, I think that's good. Okay, so there we go, guys. There's my little morsel number 31. And we stamped on the tissue paper for the leaf and for the words or the quote. And we put some handmade borders and a little bit of stamping on the page itself. So I think that was fun. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I hope you'll have fun making your page. And I look forward to seeing them as always. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye-bye.